talking to reporters about why the US still believes this is important.
The big issue on everyone's mind is what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. The President of the United States has been abundantly clear he wants the war to end. He's open to virtually any mechanism that gets us to a just, enduring, and lasting peace. And that's what he wants to see. He wants to see an end to wars. He wants to keep wars from happening.
Big headline, Willie, is that President Putin saying, making it clear that he's not coming. And then, as you heard at the top there, President Trump saying, well, that's probably because I'm not coming. So this isn't the face-to-face leaders summit that we thought a few days ago might be possible.
Keir, was there expectation that President Putin would be there from the Ukrainian side? And are they disappointed that he's not?
Oh, I think the Ukrainian side are deeply cynical about all of this. I mean, really what's happening here is both the Russians and the Ukrainians are trying to stay on the right side of President Trump, even though President Trump isn't here, trying not to be blamed when the talks, well, if the talks fail, but you think when, don't you really? Because the Russians are saying, well, we're here to talk about what they call the root causes, and we're here in Istanbul to pick up the negotiations where we left off. Well, those negotiations were talking about things like that Ukraine should be largely neutral, something the Ukrainians would never sign up to now. On the other hand, the Ukrainians are making clear that the only thing they really want to talk about here is whether Russia is prepared to begin a full and lasting ceasefire.
Shalom. I want to start by saying all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Hakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to Akim pushing this word, sincerity and honesty, and the hopeful elect that's constantly enduring throughout the four corners of the world. Shalom. My name is Korah Allah, and the Lord wants to mix for edifying lesson. The title of this lesson is going to be "The World Wants Peace, but that's not according to prophecy." Okay, or the peace treaty is not according to prophecies. All right, because right now they were trying to have a peace treaty between Russia and America over Ukraine. All right, but that's not happening. You got the new pope, so-called pope, and all he did was spoke about peace. Which tells you what, that's the Lord ain't dealing with them. Okay, because when you go into the scriptures, the Lord is going into wars and rumors of wars, death and destruction. All right, the only salvation, the only peace is going to be for the elect of Israel. So this is Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Right, there's a time for peace, time for war, like it says right here, time to kill and time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up. I'm gonna jump down. It says, Ecclesiastes 3:8 says, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Right, so you gotta understand the times we're in, man. We're in a time of war. Okay, we're not in a time of peace. We're in a time of chaos. Okay, we're in some dark times, which these things have to happen, as it says in the scriptures, but the end is not yet. All right, so things are only going to get worse. Okay, right now we're in the time of a transition of kingdoms, where this kingdom, Esau's kingdom, is going down, and the Most High's kingdom is being built up. Even now, starting with the prophets bringing out the word on the howays and byways, and the elect of the different tribes of Israel being woken up. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's the kingdom already starting to be built up spiritually. Okay, so we at a transition period, which, of course, this devil is not going to take lightly, and he's going to do everything in his power that he's capable of doing to keep himself in power, even go to war. This is Revelations 12:12. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. So when it says rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, it's going into the spiritual realm. okay? Because, of course, Yahweh Shai is there, and Yahweh Shai can't wait to come back and deliver the elect. And you have also, everyone in the spiritual realm, really, because in the spirit, they know once you're in the spirit realm, you're in your right mind, and you know that the kingdom belongs to Israel under Yahweh Shai. Okay, so you got Israelites that may have been 2/3 that passed on into the spiritual realm. They in their right minds. All right, they want the kingdom. You also have the elect that may have passed on. Okay, and of course they want the kingdom. So they're rejoicing at these times because they know these are the prophecies that the Bible have been speaking of. Right? It says, "Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath." Who's the devil? Your adversary, your enemy. All right, Esau. And he's having great wrath through his military might, through his tariffs, okay, his legislations. He's having great wrath upon these people, right? And not only look what he's doing over there in Palestine, right, with them Israelis. Some Israelis, a bunch of Edomites. That's the devil, okay? That's the main devil. And he's destroying all these different nations. It says, because he knows he has but a short time, right? Because he's coming out of rulership. He's being pulled out of rulership. Okay. 2 Ezra 6 and 7. It says, Then answered I and said, what shall be the part and asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? All right. So when it says part and asunder, it means the change. Okay. So in other words, Ezra is reiterating his question. It says, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And it says, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born, of him Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. Representing what? Jacob representing the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. And held first the heel of Esau. Esau is a progenitor of the so-called white race, okay, which they're the Edomites according to the Bible, the Israelis, right? It says the Russians, okay? It says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. There you go. Esau is the end of the world because this is the end of Esau's rulership, okay? It's the end of his rulership. And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. It's the beginning of our rulership under Yahweh Shai, okay, in righteousness. So you're at the end of this thing. So of course, like we just read, Esau don't want to have that happen with his pride, but it's not up to him. It's all up to Yahweh Shai. Even the drastic measures that Esau goes to, it's all through the spirit of Yahweh Shai, right? Because ultimately Esau is a tool to be used to do the will of the Heavenly Father and the Son. This is Daniel 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, okay, the prophets, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, right? Because how does the world know about the Most High? How does the Most High show his power? Through his prophets. It says, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. Right, the Most High ruleth. The Most High's put these kingdoms in power and take these kingdoms out of power. All right, that's why you have different kings that praise the Most High when they came into power. Okay, that's why when when the Babylonians went down, you had the Medes, or the Medo-Persian Empire, and they let Israel free. Okay, they let Israel free to build up the temple. Why? Because they acknowledge that they're in power because of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. It says that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. Right? The basis of men, the lowest of men. And that's Esau, Edom. All right, and the proof is in the pudding. Okay, because Esau didn't acknowledge Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, but he put himself up as false God and false Jesus Christ, and, and totally going off because he's the wicked. This is why Esau has to come out of power. And this is why he's going to come out of power. Matthew 10:34, straight to the point. Think not that I'm come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Okay? The Lord did not come to send peace. Here it is. They're talking about peace treaties. Right? The Lord is not with this place, man. They're not spiritual. They're not locked in, man. They're really adversaries spiritually too. All right? Think not that I come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. If you hear a prophet talking about peace, they going off, man. All right? All these peace treaties and peace talks and ceasefires, that's going to erupt. Those that have that thing erupt, man. It's going to go hot, man. Full out nuclear war. Okay? Think not that I come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. A sword is a killing instrument. Okay? With a sword, you bring judgment. The modern day sword is the gun, the military might. The modern day sword is ultimately those nuclear missiles. All right? Anything could be a sword. A nation could be a sword. Like Esau was a whipping stick upon the nation of Israel. Okay? So they were a sword. They still a sword. Right? The hammer of the earth. And the Lord's going to bring down the nuclear fire from those different kingdoms upon this place. So war's going to erupt. Ezekiel 38:2, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, which Russia occupies that region right now of Magog. So through the spirit, we know this is talking about Russia. Okay? And say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Right? The Lord is really against Russia. All right? The Lord is not with Russia or none of these heathen nations. Scriptures also say in Psalms, the second chapter says, why do the heathens rage? Okay? Because they want to be next in rulership. See, Russia is an Edomite empire as well. And the Lord ain't with them, but the Lord's going to use them to bring in that Third World War. But Russia is also going to suffer in this Third World War. It says, I am against thee, O Gog, and chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army. So the Lord's going to take Russia back into that state of the Soviet Union state, the USSR, the Cold War state. All right, but this time things are going to go hot, and all thine army, horsemen, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Okay, and the Russians army, they're way more vicious than the U.S. army. The Russians are actually ready to die. They don't mind dying for what they believe in. That's the spirit that the Lord had put on them. Not only that, but they also have some of the best, or one of the best, nuclear capabilities in the world. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Okay, so like Iran, Persia is Iran. Okay, Gomer, It's that Turkey and his bands, and the Torum of the North Quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Let's see something real quick. Okay, so that's like Turkey. Okay. Tograma. So ultimately, what it's saying is Russia is going to be a defense on these different nations, different regions. Okay, that's why the Spirit had where Turkey and China got together and they formed the BRICS, which the BRICS is a total opposition to NATO. Okay, so all that peace talk, and here it is. You got these main kingdoms setting up, which they already set up. They're in the middle of a deadly chess match, and these people, all this media attention is really for the sheeple. It's ready to fool the people. Okay, but as the Spirit is preparing His elect for what's about to happen. All right, so when you get caught off guard, you're gonna be in a state of shock, unbelief. Okay, see, the elect ain't gonna get caught off guard. Okay, because we already got the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Knowing is half the battle. All right, so you can prepare, step ahead. So spiritually, we prepare for this thing. Mentally, prepare for this thing. Right, that's why Isaiah 33:6 says, "Wisdom and knowledge should be stability of thy times." Because when these things happen, people ain't gonna believe it. They want to live in luxury. They want to live in bliss. Right, they want to live in peace. But that's not the times we in. Okay, they live in folly. We in a time of war and destruction. This is Isaiah 13:4. Let's see what the NLT says. It says, "Hear the noise of the mountains. Listen at the vast armies march. It is the noise and shouting of many nations. The Lord of heaven armies shall. The Lord of heaven's armies has called this army together." Okay. Not bad. It's back to the KJV. It says, "The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together." Right? When those nations gather together, what's going to be that noise? There's going to be those nuclear missiles going off. All right. It says, "The Lord of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle." Okay. Now let's go into that word mustereth. Let's go into that word mustereth real quick. Paquad. Okay, and let's go to Show Strong's. Appoint to have, give. It says charge, count, deliver, to keep. Okay. Let's go to the outline. It says to pay attention, observe, to attend, to seek, to look about for, to seek, vain, needs, miss, lack, to visit upon, punish, to pass in review, to muster, to number, to appoint, assign, lay upon as a charge, deposit. Number 8. Number 8 says to appoint, assign. All right. To be watched over, to muster up or call up. All right, so you get the whole gist of it. You get the gist of it. All right, it says the Lord of hosts of armies, the Most High Yahweh of armies, mustereth the host of the battle. So this is all according to the Lord's will. Okay, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapon of his indignation to destroy the whole land. And that's going into nuclear missiles. That's why they're intercontinental, because they move from continent to continent. Okay, and the Lord gave that, revealed that power to Esau, right? Going into Einstein and, you know, the men that created those nuclear weapons. Okay, it wasn't Esau, but the Lord allowed Esau to receive and understand that technology. Okay, so Lord wants to edifying lesson. Once again, peace treaties, but the Lord wants war. You know, that's why Russia and America didn't attend the peace treaties. And here it is, those are the most two powerful nations, and the two nations that's really heading this third world war. Right? Lord wants to edifying lesson. I want to say all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim Hakwadash, double on the apostles, Bishop Elsewhere, Millstone, and citation I can pushing this word, and also in honesty. Shalom.